as we continue our study of the Gospel according to John. Today we will consider John chapter 1 from verse 4 to 5. In him was life, and the life was the light of man. And the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not comprehend it.
That I might know him and the power of his resurrection, and the fellowship of his suffering, that I might attain unto the resurrection of the dead, that I might apprehend that which I've been apprehended for.
We live in a dark world, a world that is characterized by pain and suffering, wickedness, hatred, anger, bitterness, and death. All around us, sin thrives in darkness. It flourishes, grows, and matures, as expressed in 1 John chapter 5 verse 19, that the whole world is under the power of wickedness, the evil one, who is the devil and Satan. And where there is sin, there is death and destruction. This darkness is powerful, overwhelming, and thick. The prophet Isaiah says in Isaiah 60 verse 2, "See, behold, darkness covers the whole world, and thick darkness is over all people." The motif of darkness characterizes the whole spectrum of who we are and how we live in this world. We are fallen, and we live in a fallen state. You must understand that the whole world is immersed in sin. Romans 3 verse 23 says, "For all have sinned." This sin is the origin of all evil. You are not a sinner because you sin. No, rather, you sin because you are a sinner. Sin is the transgression of the divine law of God. Man disobeyed and transgressed the law of God in the beginning with Adam. And because of this, everyone born into the world is born in sin and begins to bear immediately the consequences of sin upon arrival, which is darkness, and with that, decay, destruction, and death, dead on arrival. This darkness is twofold: darkness in the world and darkness in our hearts. In the frustration of the darkness, the Apostle Paul cries in Romans 7 verse 24, "O wretched man that I am, who will deliver me from this body of death?" Here in this world, Satan blinds the eyes. 2 Corinthians 4 verse 4 says, "The God of this age has blinded the minds of unbelievers, so they cannot see the light of the gospel of the glory of Christ, who is the image of God." But in the midst of this desperation, we see the loving kindness and tender mercies of our God, not to leave us in our sins. So God comes to us in the person of Jesus Christ, the Son, to give us life. Jesus is the fountain of life. In hydrology, a fountain or fount is where water flows out naturally from an aquifer. Yeah, life flows out from Jesus Christ to heal us and to deliver us from the darkness of this world. So in joy we sing to him, "Come, thou fount of every blessing, tune my heart to sing thy grace. Streams of mercy never ceasing, call for songs of loudest praise. Teach me some melodious sonnet sung by flaming tongues above. Praise the mount, and fixed upon it, mount of thy redeeming love." Psalms 36 verse 9, "For with you is the fountain of life, and in your light we see light." So God comes to us in his life. And when the life of God brings life to our dying souls, our eyes are opened to see the light. As it is sung, at the cross, where I first saw the light, and the burdens of my heart rolled away. It was there by faith I received my sight, and now I am happy all the way. As he said in Acts chapter 26 verse 18, to open their eyes so that they may turn from darkness to light, and from the power of Satan to God, that they may receive forgiveness of sins and an inheritance among those sanctified by faith in me. So in this deliverance, the redeemed of the Lord cries, "Lord, I come to your awesome presence, from the shadows into your radiance. By the blood I may enter your brightness. Search me, try me, consume all my darkness. Shine on me." The light of God shines through the darkness of this world and the darkness in your life, bringing to you and to the world the glory of Jesus Christ, the Lord. Where we have fallen short, where we have been deprived of the glory of God, Jesus comes to rescue. He comes to rescue us, to give us his life, so that we may behold the glory of God, which is his light. Colossians 1 verse 13, he has rescued us from the dominion of darkness and brought us into the kingdom of his beloved Son. So when Paul cries, "Who will deliver me from this body of death?" in Romans 7 verse 24, in verse 25, he rejoices by saying, "I thank God through Jesus Christ, our Lord." 2 Corinthians 3 verse 18, "And we, who with unveiled faces all reflect the glory of the Lord, are being transformed into his image with intensifying glory, which comes from the Lord." And again in 2 Corinthians 4 verse 6, "For God who said, 'Let light shine out of darkness,' has made his light to shine in our hearts, to give us the light of the knowledge of the glory of God in the face of Jesus Christ." God gave himself for our sins to rescue us from this present evil age, according to the will of God the Father. That's in Galatians 1 verse 4. So, we will no longer sit in darkness and sins and depravity and hunger. For we know that life and light is the promise of God to the world that is fulfilled in Jesus Christ. Isaiah 42 verse 16 says, "And I will lead the blind by a way they did not know. I will guide them on unfamiliar paths. I will turn darkness into light before them, and rough places into level ground. These things I will do for them, and I will not forsake them." And in Isaiah 42 verse 7, he speaks of the work of Jesus Christ to open the eyes of the blind, to bring prisoners out of the dungeon, and those sitting in darkness out from the prison house. Isaiah 49 verse 9, to say to the prisoners, "Come out," and to those in darkness, "Show yourselves." And he says in Isaiah 61 verse 1, "For he has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, and release from darkness the prisoners." In closing this meditation, as people who have been rescued from the dungeon of darkness, we say to God, as we gaze on your kingly brightness, so our faces display your likeness, ever changing from glory to glory. Mirrored here, may our lives tell your story. Shine on me.
That I might know him and the power of his resurrection, and the fellowship of his suffering, being conformed unto his death, that I might apprehend that which I've been apprehended for, that I might apprehend that which I've been apprehended for.